In Chapter 16 of Moby Dick, Ishmael goes to see the boats that are available to decide which one he and Queequeg will try to sail on. Now there are 3 ships, and investigating each one finally decides on the ship the Pequod, a rare old craft. It's owned by Captain Peleg, who tells him the captain on the voyage will be Captain Ahab, a man with only 1 leg, the result of a bad encounter with a whale. As Ishmael is signing up for the voyage, he meets the ship's other owner, Captain Bildad. They negotiate Ishmael's wages, and Peleg describes Captain Ahab, who Ishmael has not met, as a grand, ungodly, godlike man. In Chapter 17 of Moby Dick, back at the inn, Ishmael doesn't understand what's going on with his friend, worrying that something is terribly wrong because Queequeg is so quiet and won't answer his knock at the door. When Ishmael bursts through the locked door of their room, Queequeg is squatting, immobile, with his little idol, observing a religious fast. Ishmael can get no response from him, but the next morning, Queequeg gets up, stretches, and seems perfectly fine. After a chowder breakfast, they set off for the Pequod to get Queequeg signed up. In Chapter 18 of Moby Dick, Peleg and Bildad are suspicious of Queequeg at first, but Ishmael convinces them to give him a chance, and Queequeg impresses the men with his amazingly accurate harpoon throw. They hire him right on the spot. Bildad advises him to leave his pagan ways for Christianity, but Peleg notes that pious harpooners never make good voyagers. In Chapter 19 of Moby Dick, Ishmael and Queequeg have just left the Pequod and are walking down the street when they encounter a strange man. The man asks them if they've signed on to ship out with the Pequod, then asks a few odd questions, including whether they've seen Old Thunder yet. When asked about this, the man tells them he means Captain Ahab, the captain of the Pequod. He goes on to make cryptic comments about Ahab. This stranger's name turns out to be Elijah. Elijah's comments leave Ishmael feeling unsettled, but he dismisses the uncomfortable encounter. In this section, readers meet Captain Bildad and Captain Peleg, 2 retired whalemen who now own their own ship, the Pequod. They're both Quakers and work well together. They stage a comical negotiation between themselves about how much pay they will offer Ishmael, which manages to convince Ishmael to accept the 300th lay, less pay than he'd expected. Ishmael explains that the name Pequod is the name of a tribe of Native Americans who once lived in Massachusetts that is now extinct. When Bildad asks Queequeg if he's a member of a church, Ishmael eloquently tells him that Queequeg is a member of the great and everlasting first congregation of this whole worshiping world, as is every mother's son and soul of us. Peleg responds that Ishmael would make a good preacher. This section introduces the character Captain Ahab. Peleg describes Ahab as both godlike and ungodly. And the strange man, Elijah, they speak with? The Bible says that God sent a prophet named Elijah to prophesy King Ahab's destruction.